One of the biggest struggles in your teens and 20s is going to be figuring out your career path. This is something that everyone is going to struggle with at some point in their life, and I've got a few comments from you guys asking to talk about this topic. And this is something that we all can relate to. A lot of people hit their 20s and they feel this massive pressure to have it all figured out. Maybe your friends seem to have it together. One might be in finance, the other's in tech, or someone's chasing medicine and law. But then there's you. You're working a part-time job to pay the bills, hopping between ideas, not sure what your long-term path is. And that's okay, because most people in their teens and 20s are going to feel lost. They just don't admit it. So in this video, I want to break down how you can grow in your career, even if you feel lost right now, and how to start finding the right path forward for you. And a lot of the reason that career paths can feel so confusing is because of the world we live in. Social media often amplifies success stories. You'll see that 22-year-old entrepreneur who's buying a Lambo, living in a high-rise, or the 25-year-old who's working a FAANG career with a house, a family, and career stability. But what you don't see is the 90% of people who are your age who are still experimenting, failing, switching careers, or simply just trying to get by paycheck to paycheck. And that comparison trap makes you think that you're behind, when in reality, you're on the normal path that most people walk. And this also comes with the pressure to have your career figured out by 18 or 22 or right after college, because the truth is most people don't. Most people change jobs, switch industries, and sometimes even reinvent themselves completely. And that's normal. Your 20s aren't about nailing the perfect lifelong career. They're about exploring. So instead of asking yourself, what's my dream job? Try asking, what skills or things do I actually enjoy building or doing? And that mindset is going to take you a lot further and really narrow down your path. So I think the first thing when it comes to finding your career or, trying to figure out how to grow in your career is going to be really understanding the importance of different skills. And what I mean by this is, instead of obsessing over finding the one perfect career, think about skills, right? Think about skills as a bucket. Skill stack. Every single job or project that you work on is going to teach you a new skill that you can transfer. So it can be communication, problem solving, leadership, negotiation. These are tools that you can carry into any single job or any single industry that you might find yourself in. So we need to work on skills that work everywhere. So take real estate as an example. Real estate involves sales, it involves networking, and it involves communication on a high level. Those same skills, if you can really hone in on them, they can make you successful in business, corporate roles, or entrepreneurship. So instead of chasing the one perfect job, chase the skills that are going to give you leverage no matter what you end up doing. And most of the times, these end up being those soft skills like leadership or teamwork or public speaking. If you're really lost and you don't know what path to take, my best advice I can give you right now is to stop worrying about the perfect title or career. Just focus on building those skills, because skills are the real currency in today's world. You might not know if you want to be in real estate or tech or finance or marketing, but if you're building the skills like sales, communication, problem solving, negotiation, or even learning some technical skills, you're making yourself valuable no matter what career path you go down or what industry you end up in. So the skills are like the tools in your backpack. The more you can collect, the more doors you open. And even if you don't know where you're headed right now, having those skills ready means that when the opportunity shows up, you're prepared. So now that we've gone over skills, the next most important thing is having a discovery phase. And a lot of young people mess this up because when you're knee deep in the discovery phase, you're probably not making a lot of money. And a lot of people want to focus on income only rather than actually discovering new things they enjoy. And the reason you're not probably making a lot of money in the discovery phase is because you're trying so many different things. But we all need a discovery phase because it's where we give ourselves permission to try new things, to explore, and most importantly, to make mistakes that we learn from. You're not supposed to magically know your calling at 19 or 22. Your 20s are a time to test different interests, test new internships, side hustles, or even hop around from industry to industry to see what really sparks your interest. I mean, most people end up going through this. Think about people you know, think about your parents, think about your grandparents. Most people don't stick with the first job they get at 16, 17, or 18. They experiment, they find new things, and you need exposure. And this can be trying real estate, trying marketing, coding, sales, whatever's going to spark your curiosity. Because even if you find something and you try something and you don't love it, at least you're learning about what doesn't fit for you. And that's just as valuable as finding what does fit. And in my opinion, this is why testing new industries is so important. Because, for example, with me, I do data analytics for the automotive industry. I love cars. Cars are something that I'm super passionate about. But if I did data analytics in, I don't know, the food industry, I might not like it as much. But I do know that I like data analytics, right? And this is where also building those skills becomes very important. So if you want to, if you find a job that you really like, but you still think it's not for you, maybe try a different industry. Maybe that same job in a different industry, working for a company that you're actually passionate about, might change your perspective on that job completely. Here's an actionable step that all of you can do starting today. One of the most practical ways to get clarity is to run what people call a career sprint. Pick one area you're curious about. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's real estate, data, visual design, whatever is potentially on your radar. Then commit to spending 30 days diving into it. So this could mean taking a short online course and getting a certificate, shadowing or reaching out to someone in the field, meeting with them, seeing what they have to say, volunteering a few hours every week at your local, marketing, real estate, data agency, doing a project just for yourself, for your own good, to post it on your LinkedIn, whatever it might be. At the end of those 30 days, ask yourself, did I enjoy this? Did I feel burnt out? Can I see myself doing this until I retire? Even if the answer is no, that's a win, because now you've crossed off one thing off your list that you're one step closer to finding what actually fits. So think of these sprints as like test drives. Most people don't buy a car without buying it first. So why would you buy into a career without testing it first? So doing a career sprint is one of the easiest and low cost of entry ways into trying a new field, new industry, or new job, because it's something you can do on your own time, on your free time, and you can really figure out if this is something that you can see yourself doing for the long term. Now, another actionable step that you guys can do is building a career journal. This is for those guys that if you like to journal, this is definitely for you. If you're lost or unsure, start writing things down, because from what I've noticed, this is one reason that, for example, I really like my field of data analytics. This is why I'm passionate about it, because I think if you can visualize things, it makes information way easier to digest. Create a career journal where you can track 3 things every day for at least 1 month. So for example, what gave me energy today? Did something at work, school, or even in a hobby make you feel alive or passionate about a topic? Now you can, journal what drained me. Notice the tasks, the people, or the environments around you that leave you exhausted. Did being on the computer all day drain you or make you lose interest? That could help you find your career. Or what sparked your curiosity? Is it small things like watching a documentary on a certain industry, or hearing about a friend that has a certain job that you'd want to know? And at the end of the month, review your notes. You'll see patterns. Maybe you light up when it comes to solving problems, or you find out that you just hate repetitive tasks. Those patterns are clues at pointing you towards the path that's worth exploring. And what's cool is this also doubles as a portfolio of thoughts. If you land an interview down the line, you'll have specific stories about what motivates you and where you thrive. And a lot of interviewers will love that. If you can tie in personal stories about how you're passionate for the job you're interviewing for, interviewers love that type of stuff. So that's incredibly valuable. So now that we've talked about skills, we've talked about trying a career sprint and being open to discovery and experiments with your career, now we need to talk about a few other things. So first is networking and mentorship. Who can open doors that your resume alone just won't. Find mentors, join groups, and actually reach out to people in industries that you're curious about. When I was trying to get my corporate job, I would sit on LinkedIn and find recruiters and just message recruiters. And I messaged probably 30, 40 recruiters, and I maybe only had one or two respond to me. But that one right connection can completely change your career path. So a simple message like, hey, I'm interested in what you do. Can I buy you a coffee and hear about your journey? Or can I, set up a meeting with you? That can go a long way. And most people, believe it or not, are way more open to talking than you'd actually expect, especially if they see, a young, passionate, driven person. A lot of people will lean into that and really want to help you out. And then aside from networking and mentorship, we just need to be honest, and we need to align our passion with also just life practicality. I'm not going to be the person that sits here and says, all right, go follow your passion. Because truthfully, that's probably not realistic. You also need to think about money, right? That's important. We need to live. We need stability. We need opportunity, right? So the real sweet spot is where your interests, your skills, and actual job demand in the market all overlap. You don't want to chase just money alone because, let's be honest, most people that just chase money are truthfully never happy. But you don't also just want to chase a passion that's going to leave you broke and frustrated and not being able to support yourself. So we need to look for that middle ground where we can not only enjoy the work we're doing, but we can pay bills, start a family, and grow long term. So the next thing we need to do is build that long-term vision or that plan. Even if it changes, it's powerful to have a vision for yourself. Look, I've done so many different interviews. Every interview always has one question that stays the same, and they all ask you, where would you like to be in 5 years? Out of every interview, that one question has stayed no matter what job I apply for. And it's not just in terms of job title, but lifestyle. In 5 years, do you want freedom? Do you want the freedom to travel every single day, do whatever you want, have no responsibilities? Or do you want long-term stability? Do you value less stress, less anxiety, and hardcore stability over anything else? Or do you want to work for yourself? Do you not want to have to work for a business? Do you want be able to make your own schedule and choose your own marketing techniques and everything like that? At the end of the day, having a vision is going to give you direction. Obviously, you can adjust as you go. So don't think of it as being locked into one path, but it gives you that course that allows you to at least have a point of reference when it comes to moving along in your career or finding that career path. And just because you have a long-term vision or plan set now, you have to always be open to pivoting. One of the most underrated parts of career growth is being flexible enough to pivot. A lot of people get stuck because they think, well, I've already studied for this, or I've already put years into this, so I can't change now. But that's not true. The skills you build don't disappear just because you switch fields. They transfer. Some of the most successful people I know started in one lane and ended up being in a completely different one. So the key is to recognize when a path is not fulfilling you, when you're not happy, when you're burnt out, and there's another opportunity that could lead to better growth, it's having the courage to pivot. So don't let pride or sunk costs lock you into something that just doesn't fit you anymore. So now that my Yap session's coming to an end, I want to leave you guys with this. For anyone who feels completely lost, the truth is, you're not behind, you're not failing, you're just in the middle of your journey. And that's okay because most people don't lock into a career until their late 20s or sometimes in their late 30s. And even then, people always change. The average person switches their careers 3 to 7 times in their life. So if you don't know what you want yet, that's completely okay because you're exactly where you're supposed to be at. The key is just movement. It's taking action, exploring, building skills, keeping doors open. Because it's just like investing. A lot of people do research on it. A lot of people will say they want to do it, but they never take those actual steps to start doing it. So you don't have to see the whole entire staircase. You just need to take the next step up. And if you do that consistently, you will find something that is truly going to suit you and truly going to fit your path and plan. So if you're in your teens or 20s, don't feel pressure to have it all figured out. Focus on growing your skills. Give yourself a discovery phase. Explore. Find mentors. Do a career sprint. Keep a career journal. just remember that you're not behind. You're just in the middle of your journey. And that's where all the growth happens. So if you guys got any value from this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and a subscription. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.